analysis, but okay, I've got to break down what you just said, Cece, because a lot is riding on it. First of all, the MVAC. Can MVAC be used on hard surfaces and fabric surfaces? Entire surface. When you use an MVAC, you get the whole surface, like you're vacuuming your floor or your carpet, and you can see where you vacuumed. Same thing with an MVAC. When you swab, which is with very often it's with the search for Nancy Guthrie tonight at a chilling turning point.
Been suspended as a result of disciplinary action while working as a law enforcement officer. Declared it very specifically. And Nancy, quickly, everyone proved it was a lie. Not just a little one, not just a mistake, a big lie.
Nancy Guthrie walked into her home on an ordinary evening. She never walked out. No forced entry, no screaming neighbors, no dramatic chase through the streets. Just a woman, a mother, a grandmother, there one moment and completely gone the next. You need to understand how unsettling that is. Most disappearances leave something behind, a struggle, a witness, a digital footprint. Nancy left investigators almost nothing, and in the weeks that followed, the silence from her home became the loudest evidence in the entire case. Here is what we know for certain. Nancy Guthrie is the mother of Savannah Guthrie, the face millions of Americans wake up to every single morning on the Today Show. That connection changed everything. It pulled federal resources, it pulled national media, it pulled the kind of scrutiny that small county sheriff departments are simply not built to handle. And that is exactly where this case started fracturing. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos took the lead publicly. He gave press conferences, he made promises, he positioned himself as the man who would bring Nancy home. But behind the scenes, investigators were already bumping into walls. Leads evaporated overnight. Suspects were detained and released with zero explanation. The family watched helplessly as momentum collapsed into silence. By day 30, the public was confused. By day 60, they were frustrated. And by day 82, the day that changed everything, investigators were staring at one single piece of evidence that either breaks this case wide open or disappears forever. That piece of evidence is one hair, found inside Nancy's bedroom. We are going to tell you exactly what that hair contains, which laboratory is now racing to decode it, and why that same lab already put one of America's most notorious killers behind bars. Stay with us, because in the next 14 minutes, two things are going to change how you see this case completely. Subscribe now. This case is moving fast, and you cannot afford to miss what comes next. That single hair sitting inside Nancy's bedroom holds more information than anyone publicly realizes. But before we get there, you need to understand exactly how it was found, because the method itself is unlike anything most people have ever heard of. Here is your first promise delivered. The FBI did not find this hair with a cotton swab. They used a device called an MVAC, a motorized vacuum air collector. Picture a forensic wet vac. It sprays a fine mist of liquid across any surface, fabric, hardwood, carpet, curtain, then immediately suctions everything back through a filter, every invisible biological trace, every microscopic fragment, captured. Traditional swabbing covers inches. The MVAC covers entire rooms. And inside Nancy's bedroom, with its hardwood floors, its bedspread, its curtains and nightstand, there were hundreds of surfaces for it to sweep. Investigators believe that is how they found it. One rootless hair, recovered from somewhere inside that bedroom. Now here is where the science gets critical. and where this case gets genuinely terrifying. A hair with a root contains nuclear DNA. That is the gold standard. Mother, father, specific individual, clean identification. But a rootless hair, just the shaft alone, was considered forensically useless for decades. Scientists said for years that you simply could not extract a workable DNA profile from it. Then one scientist proved everyone wrong. Dr. Ed Green, working out of Santa Cruz, California, developed a technique to extract SNP DNA, single nucleotide polymorphisms, from rootless hair shafts. SNP profiles are nuclear DNA. That means they work for genetic genealogy. That means they can identify a specific human being from a single strand. His laboratory is called Astrea Forensics, and the FBI believes that hair found in Nancy's bedroom belongs to a stranger. Someone with no known connection to her home. Someone who has never been publicly named. C.C. Moore, chief genetic genealogist at Parabon Nanolabs, said it plainly. The fact that it has gone to Astrea certainly does suggest it does not appear to be from anyone known to be in that home. Read that again. A stranger was inside Nancy Guthrie's bedroom. Their DNA is sitting inside a laboratory right now, being decoded, being traced, and the scientists running that process have done this before, with a case that shook the entire country. Before we tell you about that case, you need to understand exactly what Astrea Forensics is capable of, because their track record is not just impressive, it is historic. Here is your second promise delivered. The laboratory now analyzing evidence in the Nancy Guthrie case is the same laboratory that helped convict the Gilgo Beach serial killer. Rex Heuermann murdered at least 8 people on Long Island. His victims were found wrapped in burlap, bound with tape and belts, discarded like debris along a highway. For over a decade, he was invisible to investigators. Then Astrea Forensics analyzed 9 rootless hairs, those hairs connected to Heuermann's wife and daughter, found on 6 separate victims, recovered from belts, tape, and burlap sacking. The evidence was so overwhelming that when a judge ruled it admissible in court, Heuermann entered a guilty plea. One laboratory, rootless hair, a serial killer exposed. Now consider what that means for Nancy's case. Here are 5 things you need to understand about what Astrea is now doing. 1. The hair is being destroyed during analysis. Every test consumes part of the sample. There is no infinite supply. This is a one-shot process. 2. SNP extraction from rootless hair can take months. C.C. Moore has personally waited that long on cases she worked directly. 3. The hair must be SNP rich enough to yield a profile. Not every hair cooperates. Some are too degraded. Some have been chemically treated. Some simply do not have enough material. 4. If a profile is extracted, genetic genealogy begins immediately. Researchers build a family tree from public DNA databases. They work backward from distant relatives to identify the contributor. 5. One successful match changes everything downstream. Phone records, search history, location data. A single DNA identification unlocks an entirely new investigation. C.C. Moore stated directly, "I personally have helped solve 6 cases using rootless hair alone working with Astrea, and they have done dozens more since they developed this technique." 6 cases, dozens more. 1 hair from Nancy's bedroom. The question nobody is asking publicly is this: why did it take 82 days to send that hair to the one lab in the country built specifically to decode it? Tell us in the comments. Do you think the delay cost investigators critical time? Transition bridge. That question points directly at the man running this investigation, and what we discovered about Sheriff Chris Nanos changes how you see this entire case. Chris Nanos stood at podiums. He gave interviews. He projected confidence. Behind closed doors, his own department was falling apart. His own union voted no confidence against him. His detectives were demoralized. His public statements were inconsistent, sometimes contradictory, and often followed by complete silence. When reporters asked about a suspect detained south of Tucson, a lead that exploded across national media overnight, Nanos gave one word: nope. No explanation, no context, no acknowledgement that the public had been watching, waiting, hoping. Just nope. That single word told investigators, the family, and every person following this case everything they needed to know about the leadership running the search for Nancy Guthrie. But it gets worse. In December, Nanos gave a formal deposition. Under oath, he was asked whether he had ever been suspended during his law enforcement career. His answer was clear and specific. He said no. Public records told a completely different story. Between 1976 and 1982, while working in El Paso, Texas, Nanos accumulated 26 internal allegations against him. He was suspended 8 separate times, a combined total of 37 days of unpaid leave. He said no, subscribe, and hit the bell. Because what happens when the man running this investigation is facing perjury allegations, while one hair sits in a laboratory waiting to name a killer, is something you need to follow in real time. His attorney's response to the perjury allegation was that Nanos simply misunderstood the question. 26 allegations, 8 suspensions, 37 days. He misunderstood. Brian Fitzgibbons, Director of Operations at USPA Nationwide Security, put it directly. When you have the public-facing leader of this investigation spending the majority of his time defending his reputation, it inevitably demoralizes the detectives doing the actual day-to-day work. Demoralized detectives, a distracted sheriff, a family watching from the outside with no answers, and one hair in a Santa Cruz laboratory that represents the only real forward momentum this case has produced in 82 days. Do you believe Nanos deliberately misled investigators? Drop your answer below. The hair, the lab, the sheriff, the family, they all converge now on one question that nobody in this case can escape. What actually happened to Nancy Guthrie? Here is where this case stands right now. One rootless hair sits inside Estrella Forensics in Santa Cruz. Scientists are working to extract a SNP profile from it. If they succeed, genetic genealogists begin building a family tree. If the tree leads to a name, the FBI moves. That chain of events has worked before. It worked on Gilgo Beach. It worked on a kindergartner named Annie Pham, whose killer lived on her street and whose identity was locked inside a rootless hair for years. It worked on dozens of cases that never made national headlines. But it is not guaranteed. The hair could be degraded. The analysis could fail. The profile could connect to someone with no living relatives in any public database. Every single step in this chain requires both science and luck to align perfectly. And meanwhile, ransom notes have surfaced claiming Nancy was seen alive in Sonora, Mexico. Investigators are not publicly confirming those notes as credible, but the geographic reality of Sonora, vast desert, cartel control, institutional corruption, means that if Nancy crossed that border, finding her becomes exponentially harder. Cece Moore said what every investigator in this case knows but has not said publicly. I hope they will be able to complete that analysis much more quickly than what I have seen historically, because Nancy is still out there and needs to be found. Still out there. That phrase carries the full weight of 82 days of searching, of failed leads, of a family waking up every morning inside an impossible limbo. Somewhere right now, someone knows exactly what happened to Nancy Guthrie. They know who they are, and they are watching cases like this one move closer every single day. Do you think Estrella will crack this case? Tell us what you believe happened to Nancy below. The science is running. The clock is running. And one hair is all that stands between a stranger's identity and permanent silence. Subscribe now. Follow every update on this case as it breaks. We will be here when the answer comes.